Hey everybody, Chase here. Just a quick heads up. There's a little audio snafu within this episode. It seems as if there's a microphone rubbing against the collar. We did our best to edit it out, but we still felt that the episode was salvageable, and I hope that it doesn't annoy you too much, and it's a really good episode, so stay tuned.
If the fear is based on what other people think, that is not a reason to not do something.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest E-Commerce. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and today I am very, very happy to bring to the show the very well-rested Hannah Davis from BANGS Shoes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. This is such a treat, and the well-restedness and the conversation, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So, again, another awesome founder story. This one is super cool because not only did she start this brand when she was young, what some people would say, but also they're doing a lot of stuff to give back to entrepreneurs, which I think is really cool. So, you guys don't want to hear from me anymore. Let's dive in. Hannah, take me back to kind of what were you doing before you kind of ideated on what became BANGS Shoes, what was going on in your life, and kind of where did this come from?
Yeah, I will. I'll try to wrap this up. I've been doing this for, it's crazy, almost a decade now. So I certainly would consider myself young when I started it. I'm 33 now. So I was much younger when I founded BANGS, in my young 20s, but I never really thought I would be a business owner. I was definitely somebody in college that identified as a self-proclaimed philanthropist. I tended to want to spend my time doing community development things, working with nonprofits. And for whatever reason, good or bad, I attached to the idea that businesses were not good. And so if you had told 19-year-old Hannah that she would be a founder and running a business, she would have been like, no way. But I knew I wanted my career to have some sort of social impact. And I think when, at least in my experience, when I was in college and younger, I thought that impact, like the way that impact would come to life was through the nonprofit space. Like it was very linear in my mind. And, now having a little bit more being older, like just having more experience in the world, I realized that impact looks so different. And I certainly don't believe that anymore. But, that's kind of where I was coming at, my career when I entered the workforce is I wanted my career to make an impact. I thought I needed to work with the nonprofit space, but I graduated in 2009. So, I used to be able to say it was the worst economy the U.S. had seen in decades, but I can't really say that in 2021. But I graduated during right after the housing market crash, like in the thick of it. And so, there were no jobs. That's not true. It was very difficult to find a job at the time. And I remember, when somebody was able to find a contract for in whatever industry, everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's really unique, really rare. But it was also a great time to outsource myself. So I decided to sign a contract teaching English in China for a year. And while I was there, I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out how do I have an impact? What does it mean to have a career and also support the community around you? Can you do both? And through this research, I discovered social business. And I was really inspired by companies like Tom's and Patagonia, who were businesses that were using their business plan as a tool to impact social change. And I was like, oh man, business can be good. And it's not necessarily that business is intrinsically in its nature bad. There are people behind it and choosing, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make a living and support yourself and support your family. And there was just this awakening, that I had where I was like, oh, money in its essence isn't bad. It's how you manage it, and business isn't bad. So it's how you do it, how you execute it, and how you bring it to life. And so, I decided I love that idea. And to me, social business was the answer. And I was like, all right, well, I have a political science degree. I have a minor in Mandarin. Nobody in my family has any experience in textiles, international shipping, like any sort of anything. But I was like, no problem. I'll figure it out. I'll Google it. And that's what I did. I started researching and talking to people. I happened to be in the manufacturing center of the world at the time, where I was surrounded by people who had been doing similar things or who had similar interests in manufacturing. So I was able to ask questions to people who I don't actually think I would have had contact with if I hadn't been an English teacher in China at the time. And I conceptualized the idea for Bang shoes. I mean, I had a very stereotypical like aha moment where I sat up in bed and was like, oh my goodness, it's the shoes. The look of Bangs is inspired by shoes that are worn by Chinese workers and farmers. So what's really unique about Bangs? There's very many things unique about Bangs, but the aesthetic unique thing about our shoes are that they're monochromatic all the way around. So they've got the same color upper as they do the rubber sole. So if you're envisioning like a Canvas or a Converse or a Keds shoe, which is in the same category as Bangs, they typically have a one color upper, and then the sole of the shoe is white. But Bangs are neutral colors and different colors all the way around. So the brand name Bangs comes from the Chinese character for the word help, the phonetic spelling of the Chinese character for the word help. And when you buy a pair of our shoes, we invest in a new entrepreneur. So we take 20% of our net profits and put those net profits towards entrepreneurs. We've invested in over 4,000 entrepreneurs across 72 countries, including the US, which is wild because we started at zero entrepreneurs, $0. And that's very, very exciting. Probably the thing I'm the most proud of. So that's the founding story. I could keep going, but I'll take a breath.
Well, I'll let you take a breath, get a drink of water. Now, with your business model, you spoke a bit earlier about this concept that, like, if you want to do good, it has to be a nonprofit. It has to be something super rigid and structured. And I kind of want to like dispel that myth real quick because I'm on the same page with you. I've done a lot of work in that space. You don't have to have a nonprofit to impact the world with your business. And that's like really what I want to call out here. Now, a question about Bangs is, are you a nonprofit? Are you like a certain kind of corporate entity, or are you just kind of your run-of-the-mill business entity?
We are a for-profit business. So we are registered as an LLC, and we partner with a nonprofit. So I think there's many ways to have impact, and I'm not sitting here and I'm not going to say one way is right or one way is wrong. This is just the path that I've chosen to take. But I cannot imagine starting any new organization from scratch. Like, I think like, all right, if Bangs, for whatever reason, if I find myself in however many years with a lot more free time and I want to do something new, would I start a new organization? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like really, really hard. It's very difficult to start a nonprofit on its own. It's very difficult to start a for-profit business on its own, and to start a for-profit business that also has a nonprofit like inside of its entity sounds like impossible to me. So basically, like what Tom's did was, they were the mechanism for social impact. And Bangs doesn't do that. So Bangs partners with a nonprofit. So, and I really believe in this model so much because I think, there's some school of thought. There's some people who believe that the world doesn't necessarily need another nonprofit. There's millions of nonprofits around the world, but the world needs organizations that connect those nonprofits together. And in my mind, that's Bangs, fits into that category where we are, assuming we can stay in business, we become a steady revenue stream for our nonprofit partner. To help them build out their mission. And they are doing it way better than we ever could. They have a decade or more of experience, doing exactly what I had hoped my company could do. And so instead of starting from scratch, we work with them.
I couldn't agree more. And I have firsthand experience saying that it is hard to run a nonprofit, especially if you're trying to run a business at the same time. People may know that I did start one, and I actually just turned it. I don't know what I did. I like stopped it, like legally during the pandemic, just because here's the thing, I'm like running this business full time and I didn't have the time to dedicate to it personally. Like, and I felt it as a failure myself. But here's the thing. It's like, if it's not your full-time thing, you can't do it both. Like 99% of businesses fail or something like that. And it's like, yeah, like if you're not focused on the nonprofit is a business. If you're not fully focused on it, it's going to fail. So if you are driven by like mission and you want to impact the world, that you need to actually 100% just like focus on what you're doing and find someone to partner with to do the nonprofit element of it. Like, I don't know how Tom's did it, and my hat's off to them.
Exactly.
Awesome. So you have this idea for this amazing product. I'm assuming you're finding some really, really amazing connections to help you source and manufacture this product through your career over there teaching. What does like the first phases of like getting samples or building a website, like how are you getting things going?
I'm like running through that time in my life in my head. I'm just like flashing back to all the memories, but I actually, interestingly enough, the factory partner that initially produced the very first run of Bangs, I did not meet through my connections in China. I found them on Google because through the connections that I did have in China, those factories, none of them ended up working out. Like, I actually think we got kicked out of, and this is an about number. It's around here, but we got kicked out of around 7 factories before we found the factory that we currently work with now. So like factory production, especially for this product, is extremely difficult, because it can't be done in small batches. So, for this might be a small number for some people, but for somebody starting from scratch, like the minimum order number for a lot of these factories was 2,000 pairs of shoes. And if you have sold 0 pairs of shoes, that's a really big number. But I'll back up a little further. So I have the idea for Bangs. I'm in China. I decide the name of the shoe. I still didn't have a business plan at the time, but I found somebody to make me samples. I started showing them to people, and then I decided I was going to, start this company and try to do this thing right, or what I imagined would be right. And then we got kicked out of a number of factories, ended up finding our current factory partner that we've been working with since 2015. And, they are based in Vietnam. So our production is now no longer in China. It's, exclusively out of one factory in Vietnam, which is amazing. And I have to really credit them with the development of our shoes. So, it's very stressful switching factories, but we were also able to say like, hey, what can we do to improve our product? And with the switch of our factory, I think we have, better, more durable shoes, which is a silver lining of chaos.
Awesome. So you now got samples, and you've got some kind of production underway. Obviously, I from what it sounds to me, you used a original factory kind of to get things started. What was kind of the go-to-market strategy? How did you kind of launch the brand to the world? I think there's probably someone listening right now that has a product and they're about to launch, and they just are like, what do I do?
Well, I launched Bangs in a different world. Their Instagram wasn't what it is today. Social media was like on the edge of explosion. Like Facebook was like, a big deal, but it wasn't what it is now. And like the word influencer wasn't a thing. And like, so when I launched Bangs, wholesale was our main strategy. Like direct to consumer was a piece of our business. It wasn't exclusive. And now Bangs is 100% direct to consumer. The only place you can buy shoes is through our website or maybe like Depop or something like that. But, we don't manage that, naturally. So yeah, I put 12 pairs of shoes in the trunk of my car, and I drove up and down the East Coast and cold walked into stores. And, I have a political science degree. I don't have a degree in fashion merchandising. Like, I don't know the lingo, but I have no shame. So I would like walk into these stores like I was supposed to be there, and, would like to just talk to whoever. And eventually I learned the lingo from messing up. Like I learned the language that you need to be doing wholesale. So I started walking in and I would just say, hey, I'd like to talk to your footwear buyer. Like nobody told me to say that. I was like, I'd walk and be like, hey, I have some, I have this new shoe line. Like, who do I need to talk to? And they're like, oh, you want to talk to blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's the footwear buyer. And I'm like, okay, footwear buyer. Remember that one. So then moving forward, I just kind of like got comfortable and I got told no all the time, all the time. I actually got kicked out of a store in Brooklyn because I like walked in and asked to talk to the buyer, and this woman got really mad at me, was like, you can't just walk in here, and she kicked me out. And then but like the first year of Bangs, I ended up selling in close to $100,000 worth of shoes just by like walking into stores and handing out pieces of paper. And that would have been really impressive, except that nobody was walking in and buying them. So we were left with a situation where we were selling shoes to retailers who were not wanting to pay their bill because the shoes weren't selling through. And then we discovered Instagram, and then everything changed.
If you're struggling with scaling your sales, maybe Electric Eye can help. Our team has helped our clients generate millions of dollars in additional revenue through our unique brand scaling framework. You can learn more about our agency at electriceye.io. That's ELECTRICEYE.io. Since 2004, Avalara's vision has been to harness the power of cloud technology to help simplify sales tax for businesses of all sizes. Avalara's solutions are designed to affordably scale with businesses as they grow over time. Tax compliance is not a revenue-generating activity, so Avalara's technology is designed to help you manage tax compliance as efficiently and accurately as possible, so you can reclaim your valuable time and reduce risk in your business. With more than 1,000 signed partner integrations, Avalara likely integrates with the ERP, e-commerce, mobile payment, and point-of-sale systems you use today. Find out how your business can be sales tax ready at avalara.com/honest. That's avalara.com/HONEST. Avalara, tax compliance done right. Our partner Rewind can protect your Shopify store with automated backups of your most important data. Rewind should be the first app you install to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, or collaborators gone bad. It's like having your very own magic undo button. Trusted by over 80,000 businesses, from side hustles to the biggest online retailers like Gymshark, Gatorade, and Movement Watches. Best of all, merchants like you can get 1 month of automated Shopify backups for free by visiting rewind.io/honest. That's rewind.io/HONEST. Hey everybody, do you want to win back valuable lost time for your support team? Gorgias has machine learning functionality that takes the pressure off small support teams and gives them the tools to manage a large number of inquiries at scale, especially during the holiday season. Gorgias combines all your different communication channels like email, SMS, social media, live chat, and even phone into one platform and gives you an organized view of all of your customer inquiries. Their powerful functionality can save your support team hours per day and makes managing customer orders a breeze. They have allowed online merchants to close tickets faster than ever with the help of pre-written responses integrated with customer data to increase the overall efficiency of customer support. Their built-in automations also free up time for support agents to give better answers to complex product-related questions, providing next-level support, which helps increase sales, brand loyalty, and recognition. Eric Brandholtz, the founder of Beard Brand, says, "We're a 7-figure business, and we have essentially one person on customer support and experience. It's impossible to do it without tools like Gorgias to help us innovate." Learn how to level up your customer support by speaking to their team here. Visit gorgias.grsm.io/honest. That's gorgias.grsm.io/HONEST. Businesses are the most successful when they own their own data, customer relationships, and their growth. That's why more than 50,000 e-commerce brands, big and small, trust Klaviyo to deliver their ideal customer experience. Klaviyo is the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform for online brands of all kinds and all sizes. With email automation, SMS marketing, list growth tools, and more, you'll get everything you need to build strong relationships that keep your customers coming back. If you're tired of relying too heavily on paid advertising or third-party marketplaces for your sales success, you're not alone. It's time to take back control of the customer experience. More and more online businesses are moving to Klaviyo to grow higher value customer relationships through personalized email and SMS marketing, and the results are staggering. Ready to drive future sales and higher customer lifetime value with a marketing platform built for your long-term growth? You should get a free trial of Klaviyo over at klaviyo.com/honest. That's KLAVIYO.com/HONEST.
Oh, that's amazing. I think the gusto of just, I'm going to go try to sell these things is kind of the thing that any entrepreneur needs to do. Like, honestly, I was talking about this yesterday, actually, with my roommate, and I'm not going to get very specific, but it was essentially a friend of ours has started a business. By the way they were speaking about it, it almost was as if they were waiting for some sort of virality to happen organically and that things would just work out. And it never will unless you put the effort in and go out there and sell the thing that you're trying to curate with your business and bring to the world. That's the only way to get the next level, is you really have to go sell it. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to do that, especially now with just how easy it is to build a store and get your products online, and you just the whole hopeful, wishful thinking of it's going to sell eventually. No, if it's not selling now, it's not going to. You need to put an effort out there to get eyes on your product and kind of get people in the door. So I applaud you there. So one, I'm assuming you fielded quite a few phone calls from these people about it not selling. How did Instagram help? What was that turning point like? Was that where you think the initial success and everything kind of took off was how you guys capitalized on Instagram?
Yes. Instagram absolutely was the turning point for us. Basically what happened was, and these numbers in retrospect, they might be small, but it was a sign for us. So we gifted a pair of shoes to this girl that I followed who had a lot of followers, who at this point in time, you might call her an influencer, but that word wasn't a thing in 2015. And I was just like, hey, I'm a girl. I follow you. I like your vibe. Do you want these free shoes? And she was like, sure. So we just sent her a pair of shoes and she posted about them. And overnight, our Instagram account grew by 700 followers. And then we were able to, have a spike of sales. And that really showed us that Instagram could be very powerful for us. So we decided to shift a lot of our attention from wholesale to our Instagram efforts. And eventually we just phased our wholesale initiative out completely.
Yeah, that's kind of how easy it is kind of throw some offers out there to influencers and see what happens. It's obviously now it's a completely different world, and there's different levels of influencers, macro, micro, and you got these people with million followers and all sorts of engagement level is this whole thing now. But it's still a very, very viable way to get a new product off the ground. And I think people often overlook it because it is a very non-scalable thing. But to get a business going, I think it's you have to do those non-scalable things at the beginning to kind of get the initial traction. So let's fast forward to now. Is there anything that happened between kind of learning about Instagram and how that all worked out and launching the brand and going straight to DTC, that you wish you could kind of go back in time and be let's not do this thing or make this mistake that you kind of want to help other people avoid?
I think my biggest mistake, and it is still my biggest mistake, I have not fixed it yet, is being afraid. We're lucky that, and knock on wood, that we haven't made any massive errors. We haven't purchased a shoe that's just bombed, or a series of shoes that just didn't do well, or spent a huge amount of money on something that didn't work out. Our growth has been pretty measured, and I don't know if you call our growth conservative, because some people might say we've grown quickly. Some people might say we haven't grown fast at all. So I guess it's just it depends on who you're talking to. But I would say that like I sometimes get so afraid of what people will think that I won't do certain things, and kind of what you were saying about your friend or somebody that you know that is waiting for something to happen. Like, you have to put yourself out there and you have to tell your story, because like this might sound really harsh or also really freeing depending on, how much sleep you have or like your mood for the day, but nobody cares. Like, nobody cares what you're doing or what I'm doing. And people are so focused on like themselves and their goals. And, this includes me. I mean, and us, like, I would assume if you're listening to this and you're an entrepreneur, you're so focused on what you're doing, and you notice the people that you like, right? You're like, man, they're doing so well. But if you see something you don't like, it's very rare that you sit around and think about it. And so the advice I tell myself is like, why, like, if somebody doesn't like what you're doing, they're just going to move on and forget about it. Like, the people that sit and harp on it, that's weird, right? And that's very, very rare. So I think for a long time, I was just like scared of leveraging social media, and I still am like fighting that. And I think that fear, and this is kind of like a cliche thing to say, but I genuinely believe it, and I genuinely battle it all the time and every day, is like letting fear be a driver, or be a reason that you don't do something, and not fear of like hurting somebody, because that's valid. But like, if you're afraid, if the fear is based on what other people think, that is not a reason to not do something.
I couldn't agree more. And I kind of even want to double down there with the fear. It perpetuates indecisiveness. And I think the indecisiveness is what stalls businesses. It stops growth. It stops you from going to the next level, is not making a decision. So I just kind of want to just make a decision, because here's the best thing. Even if it's the wrong decision, you're going to figure it out quick enough, and you're going to pivot, steer, correct the course, and it's not going to ruin your business. Like, growing a business is just a series of decisions made over time that like make it better. And some of them are wrong. I've made terrible decisions in our business, but we're still here and it's still going. And it's the not making the decision. It's being scared to make a choice. That's what's going to kind of stop you from doing anything.
I absolutely agree. Yep.
Awesome. So let's fast forward to now. Obviously, things have changed. You're all D2C. You're doing super amazing stuff with Kiva. You got a lot more businesses, like processes and stuff built out into the business. What is kind of like the marketing landscape look for you now? What are you up? Are you still doing a lot of Facebook and Instagram not advertising, but like influencer stuff? What has changed?
So we are doing ads. We do still have an influencer program. We have an ambassador program, so our customers and community members can get more involved with the brand, participate in different campaigns and activities that we offer, receive a discount on shoes. And we also do Instagram ads. So we pay to have our product, which is just, we didn't do Instagram ads until 2018. So Bangs grew organically on Instagram from 2015 to 2018, like not $1. And then in 2018, we had like a very small budget, like a couple $100 a month or something like that, where we were putting out ads. And then we decided to try to really go after it. And actually some people might be like, you're still not really going after it. But for us, it's, we're putting, dollars towards Instagram ads. And those returns are changing. I mean, that's, any advice that anybody takes from this, just know that we are still certainly having these conversations and trying to figure out the answer. And this is something that somebody once told me that's really stuck with me, because in my mind, like when I started Bangs, I was like, oh, if we can just hit 100,000 followers, our problems will be over. Or, oh, if we can just hit this revenue milestone, all of our problems will be over. But the reality is that every company from Bangs to Nike to Converse is going, how do we find more people? How do we talk to our customer today? How do we excite them? How do we engage them? How do we find new marketing? So the problems don't change really at all. They just get bigger. There's more money involved. There's more people involved, and the stakes are higher. So your problems don't ever change. They just get more complicated. And so, I think the problems that we had 5 years ago, we still have today. They just look a little different.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This has been an amazing interview. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you that you think is worthwhile to share with our audience before we go?
Yeah. If you are waiting to start your business, like just do it. Just start it right now, because, there's what's that quote? Like, the best time to plant a tree is now, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So like, just start it. Just like, another just like quick little thing is that you don't actually have to have product in stock. Like, you can start your working towards your business without having product in stock. So that's not an excuse either. You can start building your Instagram. You can start your website. You can start getting feedback. So that's my unsolicited advice.
Awesome. Hannah, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody go check out BANGS Shoes. Check out what they're doing with giving back to Kiva. It's an amazing initiative. And I look forward to connecting in a couple of months and chatting again.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. I can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own business. You can find all the links in the show notes. Make sure you head over to honestecommerce.co to check out all of the other amazing content that we have. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and obviously, if you're thinking about growing your business, check out our agency at electriceye.io. Until next time.